Good morning. Welcome to Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Reverend Rodney Limery, and my pronouns are he and him. You do not need to believe in a creed to be comfortable among us, and we would love to talk to you more about our beliefs that hold us together in covenant. You can learn about them on our website if you're joining us virtually or if you want to check it out afterwards. And you can also stop by the visitors table after service today. If you are visiting with us, we would love for you to sign an in-person visitor's card or to submit an online visitor's card if you are on our live stream or YouTube or maybe even Facebook. So many ways for us to be connected and together. There is a ton happening in our community. So this is our Sunday that is before National Transgender Day of Visibility, which is happening this week on Thursday. We have a table set up outside with signs set up where we are asking everyone who feels comfortable to drop by and write down words of encouragement that we will use at our public witness organized by the Rainbow Community Center, MDUUC, and the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County at 4:30 this Thursday at Civic Park in Walnut Creek. We also wanted to lift up that our community circles begin on April 10th. They're back. It's a wonderful way for you to connect with one another and really develop, hopefully, lifelong friendships and connections. These are just a few things that are happening in our community. You will hear from our board rep in a moment, hopefully, about Commitment Sunday, which is really a wonderful way for us to live our covenantal relationship with one another in our financial stewardship that is so important to the survival of our religious community. To find out everything that is happening here in our congregation, please visit us at mduuc.org, and you can find everything that is going on under our calendar that is there, plus the news tab. That's where you can get links, and if the event requires registration, which some of them still do, you can register right there. Please contact Reverend Leslie. Reverend Leslie is out this week, taking a well-deserved week off. You better not be watching. I'm going to look. Or please contact her or our intern minister, Michael Macias, if you need a listening ear or financial support, which is available for all of us who are struggling in these times. And remember, asking is a gift that you actually give to this community. So welcome to this beloved community.
Good morning. I'm Andrew Oswald, member of your Board of Trustees. My pronouns are he and him. Mount Diablo, please join me in reading. It's there. Oh, there it is. There it is. Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church is a welcoming faith community. We begin our services by reading our mission together. We bring to life our Unitarian Universalist values as we seek truth and work for justice, nurture compassion and courage, reach out to each other and to our larger community of faith, bridge the divisions that wound the human family, transform ourselves and our world. Welcome to our service. I want to say again, we are glad to have you with us, whether you are on campus, on a screen, or watching us later in the week. On April 3rd, we hope you can join us for inspiration, brunch, games, and outdoor fun on our Commitment Sunday. This is the kickoff of our annual pledge campaign. We hope to get as many pledges as possible by that date so we can continue to plan for our reemergence on our campus. We hope you will attend this important event. Please stay connected. Each week, this community offers many ways to connect with each other and to grow our spirits and community and connections. You can learn more at the mduuc.org website or by being sure to subscribe to our email lists. In these ever-challenging times, we are here for one another. And welcome. It's good to be together.
We set aside time in our service to lift up an important community partner that is so vital to our justice work here in the congregation and beyond. Our offering today will be shared with this organization, so please help us live our UU values in meaningful ways by giving generously to this important effort. To tell us more about today's recipient, I'm turning the pulpit over virtually to our member, Jane Russell.
Good morning. My name is Jane Russell. This Sunday is Share the Plate to benefit Trinity Center in Walnut Creek. Trinity Center is a homeless support day program that served approximately 970 homeless and working poor single adults in our community in 2020-2021. 64% of Trinity Center members live in a place considered uninhabitable, that is, in their vehicle, abandoned building, or outside. Trinity Center welcomes every client with hope. Without Trinity Center programs, clients have scarce access to resources. May of 2020, Trinity Center moved into its permanent home at St. Paul's Commons on Trinity Avenue in Walnut Creek. In partnership with the City of Walnut Creek, St. Paul's Episcopal Church, and Resources for Community Development, 44 affordable housing units opened up at this site and are filled. Trinity Center was also the recipient of the 2020 Nonprofit of the Year Award in Senator Steve Glazer's Senate District in Contra Costa County. This valuable and much needed program offers assistance based on an intake assessment. This assessment includes case management, substance abuse counseling, life skills workshops, support groups, mental health and medical referrals, low-cost housing referrals, employment assistance, financial assistance, and a new young adult support program to help prevent chronic homelessness. Breakfasts are served Monday through Friday, as well as hot lunches. Trinity Center now partners with Loaves and Fishes to provide lunches. The center provides laundry and shower facilities, as well as food and clothing distribution. It also offers a warm and welcoming place to seek refuge. MDUUC has supported this program through its Housing Advocacy Committee, now called Economic, Food, and Housing, which is part of the Social Justice Council. Before the pandemic, I coordinated a very successful women's lunch program. Many women from MDUUC volunteered in this program to prepare lunches and create an environment of socialization and support. Now food is being provided by local food businesses and providers. Please give generously to this program. Note that your online donation is for Share the Plate for Trinity Center, or you can send a check to MDUUC with a notation that it is for Trinity Center. Thank you so much for your support.
And now we get to take a moment to greet one another in a ways that you feel comfortable with bumps, elbow bumps, fist bumps, and online. It's really good to be together.
I introduce myself? Hello, my name is Andrea Quigley, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And this is a quote from Maureen Killeran. For every mistake we make. For every time we make a mistake and we decide to start again, we light this chalice. For every time we are lonely and we let someone be our friend, we light this chalice. For every time we are disappointed and we choose to hope, we light this chalice.
Hello. I'm Sage Hagerstrand, and my pronouns are they, them. And I'm going to be reading a book today called Julian is a Mermaid by Jessica Love. We have permission to read it by Candlewick Press. This is a boy named Julian, and this is his abuela, and those are some mermaids. Julian loves mermaids. And we see him, and he's turning into a mermaid. He's so happy, and he gets a beautiful necklace from a beautiful fish. Vámonos, mijo. This is our stop. And he waves goodbye. Abuela, did you see the mermaids? I saw them, mijo. Abuela, I am also a mermaid. I'm gonna go take a bath. You be good. Then Julian has a good idea. He gets some flowers. He puts some lipstick on, and he creates a tail to become a mermaid. Oh, uh-oh, Abuela seems mad. Is it okay? Did he do the right thing? Come here, mijo. And she gives him a necklace. For me, Abuela, for you, Julian. They start to walk somewhere. Where are we going? Asks Julian. You'll see, says Abuela. Mermaids, whispers Julian. Like you, mijo, let's join them. And off he goes to join his fellow mermaids. And now we will sing our youth and children out to their activities with the band.
As you leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness that you learn light your hearts till you return.
Me and my shadow strolling down the avenue. Well, we each have a shadow, of course. When the light is right, you can see it right there, unique to each of us, yet two-dimensional, taking the color and texture of the surface it happens to be cast upon. It's a bit like a chameleon that way, more or less holding our outline while blending in, unnoticed and safely ignored. Shadows are safe, you see, harmless, blending in, drawing no attention. That which lies in shadow is hidden from the light. That can be useful. We can hide things in shadow. Sometimes we even hide ourselves. It's a matter of safety, you see. When hiding within a shadow, we are seen as blending in, drawing no attention. We don't risk making others uncomfortable with our presence. We don't risk provoking outrage or violence through our visibility. And when it's 12 o'clock, we climb the stair. We never knock, for nobody's there. Just me and my shadow, strolling down the avenue, all alone and feeling blue. Well, living one's life hiding in the shadows has its own costs. There's the effort of maintaining that shadow, keeping up a socially acceptable, dull presence to hide behind. There's the impact of having to remain hidden in the shadows, isolated, feeling blue, and dealing with that very uncomfortable blend of depression and anxiety that arises over time. Some of us are told that this is how we must live, that the only acceptable way of living one's life is appearing to be socially acceptable, safe, not making others uncomfortable with our presence. Oh, this is rarely an explicit message. We are told how we must live by the jokes others tell about folks who are a little different, by the horror stories told about, well, folks a bit different, folks who are considered monstrous, terribly badly behaved. There's an implicit caution that being just a little different will result in being seen as the butt of jokes, or that horrific monster menacing others and provoking the wrath of the villagers. It's a poor way to live one's life, just to avoid making others a bit uncomfortable, while worrying that, if discovered, the villagers might break out the pitchforks and torches. This tends to take the joy out of life. Some of us are fortunate enough to enjoy the privilege of actually living our lives as ourselves. We may live in places where the law actually forbids ending us with a quick round of Monster and the Villagers, or prohibits our being forced into treatments designed to push us back into shadow as a sort of reparative therapy. In these places, we can actually step out of the shadows and into the light. Stepping out of our own shadow and revealing ourselves feels like a very dangerous move to many of us. All those bad jokes, the thoughtless comments, and the horrific media depictions have conditioned us to expect the worst. We often need to know that it is possible to live our lives as ourselves. We need to understand that beyond the transient troubles that we might experience, there is an opportunity to find joy and peace to replace that depression and anxiety. We need to receive the message that we will be all right. We need to know that others have done this. We need to know that they are thriving outside the safety of shadow, and we can too. It's going to be all right. When we gather on the side of love, supporting one another, it's going to be all right. Thank you. I'm Michelle Paquette, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Me and My Shadow was written by Al Jolson, Billy Rose, and Dave Dreher.
We invite you now to rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together. There is more love.
We've come to the part in our service where we uplift the joys of this community and collectively hold the sorrows that are too much for any of us to bear alone. Allison Ray asked that we light a candle of sorrow for the unexpected death of her dear friend, Maria Paul. Maria was Allison's close friend, also a single mother who gave strength and support over the years. Reverend Leslie asked that we light a candle of concern for all the young people affected by conflicts, the female-identified youth and young adults now without schooling in Afghanistan, and the 50% of children in Ukraine who are estimated to be displaced as a result of the conflict. Reverend Rodney asked that we light a candle of compassion for all our transgender siblings who are very much under attack in our country today through hate-filled legislation that demeans their lives and places them in harm's way. May those who seek to diminish authentic living one day find their true selves. Finally, I'm asking Reverend Rodney to light 2 final candles. The first representing all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in our collective consciousness. And the final, a gentle reminder that we are the keepers of love and justice makers in this one imperfect but important world.
We invite you to sing together our meditation song, Comfort Me. It's 10:02 in the teal book. If you have it, the words will also be on your screen. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
In this colonized world, we are taught to embrace the light and reject or conceal the shadows that dwell within. We are forced to suffer under a system of social constructs that predetermine who is worthy and who is not, instead of making space for all to be worthy. For so many of us, we wrestle with the balance between what society expects and who we are. This morning, I invite us into the deep ask of prayer as we seek the strength to lean into embracing every aspect of our existence. Spirit of love and life, God by any name or no name at all, enable us to hear and embrace the truths that dwell within our minds, bodies, and hearts. Open us spiritually, emotionally, and mentally so that we may fully embrace, holding in care, the shadow and light that lives within us, knowing that each offers a blessing or gift. Give us the strength to forgive others for any missteps or mistakes. And in this, may we recognize that grace given is grace received. Grant us the capacity to accept who we are, and may this serve as an invitation for those around us to embrace self-acceptance as well. Remind us that we are a gift, holy as we are. May the holy move within us in such a way that we are reminded that we are good, we are safe, and we are loved. We ask that each of these feelings emanate from us and serve as a beacon of hope for others who may find themselves still searching for these foundational aspects of our existence. Remind us that in this world, light and shadow need not compete for our attention. We can acknowledge both and hold ourselves and each other in care. May all that we experience and all that we are be transformed into compassion, love, and peace. Amen, Ashe, and may it be so.
Good morning. My name is Mark David Watanabe. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. As we've now entered into our annual season of pledging, I'd like to share a quote I've discovered by Thomas Earthman, founder of the I Am UU project. Thomas said, "Stewardship in a UU community is not about payment for services rendered or buying your way into personal reward in this life or another. It is about investing to create the world you always hoped for so that it will be there for future generations." Here ends the quote. So this is our task at hand, my companions in community. We have made it this far through the disruptions of the pandemic, and it behooves us to express deep gratitude for the many resources, human, financial, and technological, that have kept the weave of our connections intact. It will be our collective generosity that will enable us to strengthen our capacity, our current capacity, and move us toward that place where we can truly dream and create that world that is hoped for, one that inspires us to know each other as we truly are, held in the love that every broken soul deserves. As you consider what to place in the basket here on campus, in the fields once you press the Give Now button online, or on the pledge forms you'll submit for Celebration Sunday, know that all your gifts are needed and appreciated, and your contributions will generate the power to nourish the seeds of what can blossom into blessings beyond measure. Your offerings will now be gratefully received. Please join with me now in reciting our dedication of the offering. To the work of this community in transforming ourselves and our world, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings.
Like many of us, personal transformation is often predicated on the experience of huge shifts in our own lives. This is absolutely what happened to me during my studies in seminary. In my second year of my program, I had a medical issue that forced me to face parts of my life that were full of shame and pain. As a result of this significant emotional shift in my psyche, I began weekly therapy in 2016 that I still continue to this day. I remember sitting on the couch of my therapist in tears, explaining that I was broken and needed to be fixed. I remember him calmly responding to me, "I don't believe in broken people, and if that's what you're here for, I'm not sure I can help you." I was stunned. My mind spun with so many concerns and anxiety. I just felt like I knew better. What did he mean? People aren't broken? I've been taught that people are broken my whole life. I was sitting on the couch feeling so fragmented and hurt. Broken seemed like the appropriate adjective. I was full of anger, rage, fear, and desperation. A part of me yelled out, "Wait till he hears my deepest hurt and shame. I know he'll feel differently then." He went on to explain that in his clinical philosophy, we are all complex creatures with immense capabilities for great good and also great harm to self and others. Now, I had studied a bit of the basics of psychology in undergrad, felt like I knew and was familiar with Freud and the concepts of collective unconscious from Carl Jung, but I was fascinated to learn from my therapist about another Carl Jungian concept, that of the shadow self. He explained that in Jungian psychology, past trauma and society at large has a way of forcing us to assimilate, and that process can sometimes cause us to hide aspects of ourselves. Sometimes these aspects are harmful to ourselves or others, and sometimes they're not. In any case, he explained, the goal of our sessions together would be to uncover these shadow parts of myself and attempt to make meaning of them. Through this journey, we hope to help me to integrate my shadow and light into a full person, not broken, but complete in all of my complexities. Now, I'm not a psychotherapist, and therefore I am not capable of commenting on this framework beyond my experiential knowledge of it. Some of you might be. I expect to hear you at coffee hour. However, I am a minister, and I can't help but gravitate toward this therapeutic framework, but reframed in terms of spiritual health. In Unitarian Universalism, we share the perspective that no one is inherently evil. Traditional Christianity clings to a theology of original sin that underlies it and places an emphasis on repentance and salvation. Some might say that we as Unitarian Universalists lean more into our Jewish heritage and deny this concept of original sin altogether. It can be argued that many of us instead embrace a construct of original blessing, echoed in our own UU theologians like Rebecca Parker and others. I became familiar in researching this sermon or message with a book called Original Blessing from a Dominican Catholic priest, now Episcopalian priest, Matthew Fox. For some of you who have recently heard my messages, you will see that I have been pulling a lot from other denominations. They have some good stuff too, y'all. He argues that Jesus, being Jewish, would have never been presented with the interpretation of Genesis that proclaims the thought of original sin. Instead, he would have been presented with more of a mystical understanding of the Hebrew stories. That would have been the dominant perspective at the time. An understanding of an individual's faith places them on a journey, he argues, of integration of 4 different paths. Via positiva, which is the path of joy, delight, awe, and gratitude. Via negativa, which is the path of shadow and silence, of suffering and of letting go and letting be. Via creativa, it's the path of the creative forces in our life. And lastly, via transformativa, the path of justice and compassion. Much like Jungian psychology that sees each of us as a whole person, shadow and light, Fox's spiritual understanding of theology sees each of these four paths feeding into one another. They interweave to create a whole spiritual being. In this way, our hearts are neither all good nor all bad, but rather are complex interweavings that work to make us whole. This is what my therapist was trying to get me to see. My shadows are a part of me. Some of them were created to provide me protection when I needed them. What I now realize is that if I fully embrace them so that I'm operating with knowledge of their influence over my behavior, they actually can be a superpower for living my life. From my perspective, there's a great overlap between the field of psychotherapy and spiritual renewal. As a correctional chaplain, I've been trained to assess a person's disconnect between self, others, and the higher power, or God. In the incarceration system, I'm often faced with individuals who are deeply in crisis. They often are disconnected from their own self, their communities, and their sense of something more than themselves. It's very easy to hurt others when we ourselves are hurting. I know this from personal experience. While the field of psychotherapy is designed to treat mental illness, I see our purpose as a spiritual community as a way to promote connections to others, to a higher power, if that is your theology, and to provide you tools that we can use to connect to our authentic selves. Like our call to worship today, I share Michelle's sense that hiding aspects of ourselves in the shadows out of fear of rejection or safety is no way to live one's life. For me, it sent me on a path that emphasized the via negativa in an unbalanced and harmful way. I'm now on the path of therapeutic healing, and that allows me to join my shadow self to my light and thus more freely live. When I speak of collective liberation, many of you have heard me say it, that's part of that journey. I know that if we all could be honest about our shadows and embrace them fully, we would be able to accept accountability for our harmful behaviors more easily, as we would know that our bad behavior does not equate to being a bad human. A concept that I believe is very consistent with our universalist values. I believe that we wouldn't be so quick to ostracize people from our community who have bad behaviors. We could instead return them in covenantal love, welcoming them to reflect on their harm, account for it, and return to community. While this sounds wonderful, it is far, far more difficult than simply rejecting them using doctrines like original sin. And that's the rub. How can we continue to reject the construct of original sin and focus on original blessing? All of these things remind me of the teaching of a famous rabbi, Jesus. You may have heard of him. He said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." What I know from my own journey is that my capacity to love someone is predicated by my comfort and love of my own image. This sentiment is echoed by yet another great rabbi who I love, the Rabbi RuPaul, who at the end of every Drag Race episode issues the question, if you can't love yourself, then how the hell are you going to love somebody else?
Can I get an amen for that?
Ah, yes, a Drag Race fan. Amen. Or a woman. Learning to hold both the shadow and light for ourselves and others is very hard. I had to do it just now, as I embraced the complexities of quoting RuPaul during today's Transgender Day of Visibility service. RuPaul has been rightly criticized for her transphobic remarks and lack of trans visibility in her programming. However, she has recently reconciled with her past and is actively trying to do better, shadow and light. So my hope for all of us today is that we find in this community the safety to embrace our full selves. I pray that if you want to be a mermaid, you become one. I pray that if you cause harm and are called to account, you do so with humility and understanding that you are not your behavior. I know we can all integrate our shadows and our light so that we may know and be love.
Let's rise in body or spirit. We invite you to join in singing Love Will Guide Us, Birds Will Be on the Street. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Today we extinguish the chalice with the words of Carl Jung. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. May the light of this chalice keep us focused as we embrace this journey of becoming together.